Yo, what's poppin' Pokepals? Rare Boy here, and I'm back with another impossible Pokemon challenge. Today we're gonna find out if it's possible to beat Pokemon Ruby using only the weakest Pokemon moves. Now, this is by far gonna be my longest intro, as I have a ton of explanations to get through before we jump right into today's gameplay. First off, I'm using moves that are only in Pokemon Ruby and their base power, meaning moves like Nuzzle will not be used in this challenge. While Nuzzle is on the list of weakest Pokemon moves, it was not an attack until Generation 6, and thus is not in Ruby's database. Next, I will be using a move's power level based on what it was in Generation 3, meaning Knockoff and Leech Life both have a base power of 20 in this game, so they count as weakest moves in this generation. Knockoff wasn't buffed to what it is today until Generation 6, and Leech Life wasn't buffed until Generation 7. With that out of the way, let's take a look at some of today's moves. While there are weaker moves than these, such as Pin Missile and Arm Thrust, those moves hit multiple times and thus will end up dealing more damage than these moves would with just 2 hits. On top of that, I'm missing types, because most types don't have moves with 35 or less base power. So Dragon, Electric, Psychic, and a few other types of attacks will be useless to us. I wanted to use only moves with 35 or less base power to really show how weak some of these moves can get. One move that is available to us, but I will not be using, is Constrict for normal. While this move is available to us, Constrict can't be learned by a single normal type Pokemon, surprisingly. I tried to use Pokemon who gained a stab bonus from these moves to give myself some kind of perk. I can teach my Pokemon non-stab moves as long as they have base powers of 35 or below as well. Now, you're all probably wondering what Pokemon I'll have on my team. And considering I'm using the weakest moves available to me, I'm going to need the strongest wielders of these attacks. After some extensive research and restricting Megas and Legendaries from my list of available Pokemon, I came up with the following. Aside from having the highest base attack or special attack in their typing, they can all naturally learn the moves on our list. I could have easily given Slaking Constrict, but that wouldn't be very realistic, and I like my challenges to be as authentic as possible. So, here's our list. We have Golisopod for Leech Life, Conkeldurr for Rock Smash, Primarina for Whirlpool, Chandelure for Fire Spin and Astonish, Roserade for Absorb, Garchomp for Sand Tomb and Mud Slap, Overqwil for Poison Sting, Zoroark for Knockoff, and Honchkrow for Peck. It took me a long time to figure out this list of Pokemon, and I know someone in the comment section is going to be like, actually, the strongest user of these attacks is... And you know what? I don't care at this point. Also, this is by Generation 8 standards, so if you're watching this video when Gen 9 or later comes out and there's a stronger user of these moves by then, well, that's why they're not here on my list. Whew! That was quite a lengthy explanation for viewers whom I'm sure will be skipping ahead and asking these exact questions in the comment section later, just for me to say, watch the intro, bro. Before we can even begin our challenge, I first need to import our team sprites into our version of Pokemon Ruby. Once the sprites are in the game, I then need to edit the game's internal data so I can encounter these Pokemon at appropriate times and locations. I don't know who will be on my final team right now, but it's good to have a variety, so I'm sure the 9 Pokemon that I mentioned will be used at least once during this run. Now that our Pokemon have been coded in, let's review the rules of the run. The first rule is that I'm only allowed to use the weakest moves in the game to fight. We are allowed to capture other Pokemon for HM usage, but they cannot assist our team of weaklings by any other means. The second rule is that I'm not allowed to use items in battle. Held items such as leftovers are okay, but items such as X items or Hyper Potions are banned until the battle has ended. And finally, no glitches or exploits will be used to complete this game. It's just a normal playthrough of Pokemon Ruby, but with some powerhouse Gens 4 through 8 Pokemon. With the rules explained and our Pokemon in game, let's jump into some gameplay. The first thing that I do is pick up our Poplio from Professor Birch's bag. I figured it's already a starter in its native region, so why not make it our starter for this run? The only problem I foresee is Whirlpool is special, and we can't get special attack EVs this early in the game, so I'll need a replacement fast as to not max out Poplio's EVs too early. I also decided to replace Mudkip so May takes Trico for somewhat of a challenge in the beginning. I nickname our little sea lion Vortex, because what's a Whirlpool but an ocean vortex? I take a look at his stats. He has a bashful nature, which means neutral stat gains, which isn't terrible, I suppose. Also, can we take a moment to acknowledge the fact that Poplio's whole gimmick is that it makes bubbles to use like beach balls, but it can't learn the move Bubble? Interesting. With Vortex on the team, though, it's time to conquer the Hoenn region. Now, normally I don't show the first rival fight because there really isn't much to commentate on usually, but May was seriously giving us a run for our money this time around. I wasn't kidding when I said the weakest moves. We almost lost at level 10, but thankfully our turn ability kicked in, which put our Whirlpool just over the top for knocking out her Trico. I can already tell this run is going to be a doozy. Thankfully, we can already get our first encounter Wimpod right outside of Oldale Town. We don't have access to special attack EVs as I mentioned before, so I'll be focusing my training on this Wimpod for now. I nickname her Shogun, as Golisopod looks like a samurai horseshoe crab. I took a look at her stats and she has a relaxed nature, which means more defense but less speed, which is meh. We're slow to begin with and our defense is good, so it could be useful. I tried my luck at Roxanne in our mid-teens, and Vortex was holding his own with Whirlpool against Geodude, but Nosepass was just way too much for our team to handle, as he easily disposes of our two members. While grinding, I reached level 17, and Vortex evolved into a Brionne. I'll also level up Shogun to get some more attack EVs and to get her up to par with Vortex. Let's see if this training is enough to defeat Roxanne. Even with Poplio now evolved into a Brionne, Geodude still managed to survive a Whirlpool on what looks like 1 HP. Thankfully, the residual damage from the in-between turns was enough to knock him out, and we didn't get hit once as Geodude only went for Defense Curl. Nosepass was still a major issue though, especially since Roxanne had 2 potions to heal it with, and we eventually took it down with the thanks of our own Oranberry saving us from a crit rock throw. Even with us having a water starter, this fight was way harder than it needed to be. Now you understand why I chose the strongest wielders of these moves and not just some random Pokemon. Normally after Roxanne I would head straight to Brawly to see how we fare against him, but with essentially only Leech Life and Whirlpool, I have to get our next member now on Route 110 just above Slateport, a Timber. I put them here because I imagine timbers help build a city that is famous for its ports. Anyways, we catch this little guy and nickname him Stallone because he's my idol in real life and the man is ripped. I take a look at Stallone's stats and he has a lax nature, which means more defense but less special defense, which isn't great. He only knows Rock Smash, which can lower our opponent's defense, and that could come in handy. After getting Stallone up to level 20, I took on Brawly, and thanks to some super potions, Machop actually gave us some issues, but thankfully, our defense drops from Rock Smash were enough to whittle him down eventually. Makuhita doesn't deal as much damage as Machop, and so he went down even easier. A fairly easy gym to say the least. It's time for the May fight, and with no clear answer to her Wailmer, I sent out Timber, and we actually just barely lost this exchange, so Wimpod came in to finish it off. May then sent in Numel, to which I hard swapped to Brionne and O-code it with Whirlpool. Last out was Grovyle, and I wanted to safe switch into Wimpod, so I just let Brionne go down after some exchanging of attacks. It was all up to Wimpod, and you know something? Our Leech Lives did phenomenal damage against Grovyle and kept us healthy enough to defeat Grovyle. Okay, not bad. While training for the upcoming Watson fight, Timber reached level 25 and evolved into a Girder. I actually forgot he evolved at level 25, and so I didn't have my recording software active and missed the evolution animation. My bad. Also during our grind, Wimpod reached level 30 and he evolves into a mighty Golisopod. This is a major upgrade to our team as the attack boost from Wimpod to Golisopod is astronomical. Also, my dumbass has been running away from Roselia's when Roserade is one of the Pokemon on our list. So, I wound up catching this one. I nicknamed him Poison because every rose has its thorn. I take a look at his stats and he has a quirky nature, which means neutral stats, which I'm okay with since it's going to be a mixed attacker. Now to go get him up to par with the rest of the team. After getting the entire team up to level 30 and teaching Shogun Rock Smash through HM06, we took on Watson and Girder actually managed to solo him. He even withstood a self-destruct from Voltorb nicely, which is pretty impressive. Watson then helped with our sweep as he paralyzed Girder with Thunder Wave, activating his Guts ability. All in all, Watson was actually really easy. Thank goodness. Now that we have access to Route 113, we get our next encounter, Azoroa, who we capture and nickname Malekith, because I can totally see the resemblance between him and Zoroark. Anyways, I take a look at his stats and he has a gentle nature, which means more special defense but less defense, which isn't ideal. On top of that, he only knows Knockoff, which is very weak in Gen 3. Let's level this little guy up. While grinding, I get Malekith up to level 30 and he evolved into Zoroark, and now his nickname fits him. I also picked up the Black Glasses item to boost his knockoffs. On my way to Maxie, we get Vortex up to level 34 and he evolves into a Majestic Primarina. Yet another nice team upgrade. Speaking of Maxie, we took him on with Poison as our lead as I didn't want Stallone to take an Intimidate. Poison managed to handle Mighty Anna nicely as Maxie then sent out Camerupt, who I thought Poison could handle on his own, but he couldn't as he goes down. I sent him Vortex and our Whirlpool obliterates Camerupt. Last was our biggest threat, Golbat, as he resists a majority of our attacks aside from Knockoff and Whirlpool. Vortex took some heavy damage and Maxie healed Golbat, but in the end, Vortex was put into turret range and was able to put down Golbat after a series of blows. This battle can become problematic when Maxie gets stronger. Flannery, who I was expecting to be an easy sweep of Vortex, actually turned out to be a real problem for us. Her second Slugma managed to survive our Whirlpool in the red and then set up a light screen. Flannery then proceeded to heal Slugma, allowing it to set up a sunny day, making our Whirlpools do practically nothing, so I was forced to switch into Stallone. Slugma then proceeds to take out Stallone as Shogun comes in. Shogun finally takes down the Fire Slug, and Torkoal comes in. I left Shogun out to get some damage and to force some overheats to lower Torkoal's special attack, and it works. Once Shogun went down and the light screen faded, I sent in Vortex, who finished the job. A pretty sloppy beginning, but we recovered nicely. Now that we have access to the Sandstorm area, we encounter Gibble, who took quite a number of Pokeballs to capture, mind you. I finally nab her though and nickname her Ubers, as she is quite possibly going to be the strongest member of our team and is a good homage to Garchomp's status in his debut generation. I take a look at her stats and she has a calm nature, which means more special defense and less attack. You gotta be kidding me. Oh well, time to level her up. At level 24, Ubers evolved into a mighty Gabite for some better power, but she's nowhere near her final form. It's Daddy Norman time, and Norman's Slacking were a bit of a handful. Slacking has really good stat distributions, and it shows here in this fight. Girder was putting in great work with Rock Smash, but Norman's first Slacking got a yawn off, forcing me to go into Golisopod. We managed to get the first Slacking down with Golisopod, and Vigoroth's inferior attack stat couldn't do too much to Golisopod's natural bulk, so we got some good hits in before Vigoroth eventually whittled us down. Girder comes back in to finish Vigoroth, and the Norman's Ace Slacking didn't lay a finger on us as he kept trying to go for Focus Punch for some odd reason, and we continuously broke his focus with Rock Smash. Well, okay then. Now that we have access to Surf, we float on the water just right a while and find a Hisuian quillfish. Somehow. Anyways, she went in the bowl quickly and we nicknamed her Puff Mama, cause she's serving up that chili. We unfortunately have a full team right now, so she gets sent directly to the box. I make my way to the nearest Pokemon Center and I check our latest edition, and she has a quiet nature, which is less speed for more special attack. That's literally the worst nature she could have had. She only has Poison Sting and isn't weak to flying, so she might come in handy against Winona as opposed to Roselia. But before Winona, we have one final May fight, and it was a back and forth kind of fight. Gabite took out Numel, as Wailmer took out Gabite. So Girder took out Wailmer. And then Grovyle took out Girder. I then gave Puff Mama her debut as she finished off Grovyle. An interesting final May fight, to say the least. At Mount Pyre, we get another team addition, being Litwick. I catch him and name him Sia, because we're going to be swinging from this chandelier. I take a look at his stats, and he has a timid nature, so more speed but less attack, which isn't bad. He has 3 moves, being Smog, Astonish, and Fire Spin, so he's got some pretty good coverage. At level 25, Puff Mama evolved into an Overquill, which has a much higher attack stat, so that's pretty good to get such a powerhouse so quickly. So, we finally took on Winona, and our movesets have finally caught up to us, as it takes 4 of our team members to take out her lead Swallow. Maybe with some more levels and evolutions, we'll be in better shape? Maybe? I guess now is a good time to catch our last available Pokemon, Murkrow, just outside of Fort Tree City. I got him with 1 Pokeball and nicknamed him Capone. Capone turns out to have a serious nature, so neutral stat gains, which isn't ideal. I picked up a Moonstone and Meteor Falls, which we can use right away on Capone to evolve him into a Honchkrow, because Dust Stones don't exist in this generation. Now to get him on par with the rest of the team. At level 41, Litwick evolved into a Lampit, and we unfortunately can't evolve again until we find another Moonstone, because again, Dust Stones don't exist in this game. After changing up the team and getting everyone up into the 40s, we take on Winona again, and I gotta say, this was a close fight. Swellow was being a troll with Double Team, allowing him to avoid a majority of Primarina's Whirlpools, and we eventually lost the exchange. Honchkrow came in and finished off Swellow, and managed to take out Pelipper as well with a couple of pecks. Skarmory was next though, and we really don't have an answer aside from Lampent, so I just let Honchkrow go down. Lampent's Fire Spins did very underwhelming damage, and Skarmory wound up taking out Lampent as Zoroark had to come in, but he too was taken down before getting Skarmory down to red health. Gabite came in and finished off Skarmory, and all that was left was Altaria. We only have Rock Smash to hit it with, so I try to get some defense drops, but I only wound up getting 1 as Gabite goes down, and out comes our last Pokemon, Overquill. We start going for Poison Sting as Altaria sets up 2 Dragon Dances. I don't know how, but Puff Mama survives a +2 Earthquake in yellow and finishes the fight with 1 final Poison Sting. I'm speechless over this entire ordeal. Because I have no friends, I programmed Girder to evolve at level 40, and upon reaching so, he evolved into the beastly Conkeldurr, who may come in handy in our upcoming Tate and Liza fight. Speaking of Tate and Liza, they actually turned out to be easy for once. We only needed Malekith and Vortex to spam knockoffs and Whirlpools, and with that, we successfully acquired our 7th gym badge. One final maxi fight, and we got absolutely trolled in this fight. Mighty Anna wasn't much of an issue, it was actually Camerupt. Granted, I didn't switch Malekith out into Vortex for an easy KO, so by the time Vortex did come out, Camerupt had a few amnesias on us, and then proceeded to wreck shop on our team. On top of that, Crobat is a hard counter against our team and their lackluster movesets. I guess it's time to level up again. After getting the team up to the 50s, this fight still wasn't a walk in the park as we kept hitting ourselves in confusion. Crobat was also still a major issue, as it took both Honchkrow and Zoroark to take him down. Once Camerupt came in, I hard swapped into Primarina this time around, and we almost lost the exchange as we missed so many of our Whirlpools, but thankfully we came out on top in the end, and we can now proceed with the run. After going deep sea diving for a green shard, I exchanged my treasure for a leaf stone, and I use it to finally evolve Roselia into a Roserade. This powerful grass type should come in handy against the upcoming Wallace fight. I'm actually pretty impressed by Shogun's performance in the Wallace fight. She probably could have swept his entire team if she didn't run out of PP on her attacks. Her natural physical bulk and resistance to Wallace's stab water pulses kept her healthy throughout the fight. She managed to take out 4 out of 5 of Wallace's Pokemon, finally falling to Milotic. Once she was down, Poison came in and finished the fight with a couple of Absorbs. Not a bad final fight, and much easier than I was anticipating. Just before the Elite Four is one final Wally fight, and this fight usually indicates how weak or strong your team is. Thankfully, this match shows that we have somewhat of a fighting chance against the upcoming Elite Four, so long as we swap our Pokemon properly like I did against Wally here. I have a few more items and levels I need to get before I reveal the final team though. Before I do the final team reveal, I figured I'd give Uber some justice and finally evolve her. Upon evolving, she learned Whirlpool, but after seeing how weak it is on Vortex, you know damn well I ain't using that move on no Garchomp. Also, I finally found a Firestone to evolve Sia. Yes, I had to change my evolution method to a Firestone, because apparently there's only one Moonstone in all of the Hoenn region, which is pretty dumb if you ask me. With this evolution though, all of our Pokemon are finally fully evolved, and I can reveal the final team members. So, here's the final team. Are you surprised? Let me go through the team members now and tell you my logic behind each pick. First up, we have Shogun the Golisopod. The movesets are displayed on the right side of the screen, and I mean Leech Life and Rock Smash are just perfect against Sydney. Next is Capone the Honchkrow, who not only resists Phoebe, but also has Astonish, so Capone should be good against her. Sia the Chandelure is a hard counter towards Glacier's Glalie, plus look at that special attack stat! Then of course we have Uber's the Garchomp. I mean, it's a freaking Garchomp. Plus, Ground is really good against Steven, so that's a no-brainer. Stallone the Conkeldurr is on here because fighting is just an overall really good typing for the Hoenn Elite Four, and last but certainly not least is Poison. I thought long and hard about this final pick, and I was gonna pick Puff Mama over her, but then I realized I have no solid counter to Steven's Claydol or Glacier's Walruses, so Poison just barely made it on the team. I'm gonna finish gathering my held items, and then we will finally find out if we can beat Pokemon Ruby using only the weakest moves. After obtaining all of my held items, it's finally time to take on the Elite Four. First up is Sydney, and I lead with Sia to avoid Mightyana's Intimidates on any of our physical attackers. He does a good job getting Mightyana down to red health and forcing Sydney to use one Fulversor before going down. I wanted to sweep with Shogun from here, but Mightyana had other plans with Sand Attack. Because of our lowered accuracy, I was forced to switch into Salone when Absol came in. Absol got off an Aerial Ace for almost half our health before we dropped him. Next out was Shiftry, who used Swagger on us, and I was like, well, GG's my guy, but then I remembered that Confusion was broken back in before Generation 6, so we don't get to attack once. Shogun comes back in, and again we get Swaggered, which spells our demise, but not before taking out Shiftry. Cacturne should have been a one-shot with Leech Life, but like I said, Swagger's just too OP. I sent in Capone, who took care of Cacturne, and avoided Torpedo Swagger for the KO. What a very messy first Elite Four fight. Phoebe's fight, on the other hand, was absolutely insane. It starts off great with Capone taking care of Phoebe's first Dusclops untouched, but again, we get confused. What's with these people and confusing us? Her second Dusclops takes down Capone with an Ice Beam, and I send in Ubers, kinda dumb if you ask me. I start Mud Slapping to drop his accuracy, and eventually, we go down. Poison comes in and puts in some phenomenal work as he's not only able to take out her Ace Dusclops with Absorb, but he also proceeds to take out Sableye with just 1 HP left. Last are Phoebe's 2 Bayonets, and we get close to taking the first one out with Shogun, but she ultimately falls as well as Sia comes in to finish it. Last is her second Bayonet, who takes down Sia, and I'm like, oh no, Stallone only has Rock Smash, which she's immune to. I don't know how, but we managed to survive until we ran out of PP, and we got burned from a Will-O-Wisp, activating our Guts ability, so Struggle was enough to obliterate Bayonet at almost full health. If I gave my Pokemon elixirs like I was supposed to, we would have lost this fight. Glacia's fight was the easiest thus far. I led with Sia, thinking our Fire Spins could handle Glalie, but we do underwhelming damage, and Glalie sets up a light screen. Glalie also has Crunch, so Sia goes down without a single KO. I send in Stallone, who is still burned from our last fight, and a Black Belt Guts boosted Rock Smash obliterates Glalie. Celio comes in and he somehow survives our Rock Smash, but he just sets up the Hail. Celio also survives our Rock Smash and finishes Stallone. Poison comes in and does what he's supposed to do and takes down Celio. Next out is Walrein, and we got really close to taking him down with Absorbs, but his Blizzards were just too much for Poison to handle as he goes down. I send in Shogun, and our first Rock Smash lowers his defense, while the second one crits him for the KO. Last is her second Glalie, who doesn't deal a lot of damage to Shogun, and can't withstand the onslaught of Rock Smashes for the win. Yeah, there's just no way we're getting past Salamence. He has coverage for literally every Pokemon on our team. Shelgon and Flygon aren't going to be a problem as I've seen here, but Salamence and Altaria's typing alone are our biggest issue. Maybe we should switch up the team a bit. Okay, attempt number 2, and I get the whole team up to the 60s this time and replace Sia with Malekith, as Sia seemed to be the weakest link. With the higher levels, we made it to Drake much smoother, but this fight was almost a repeat of the last one, as we once again get overpowered by Salamence. Our biggest issue is that Ubers is only good against Shelgon in this fight, but we need him for Steven's fight. On top of that, we don't have great coverage for dragons, especially flying ones. I made much smarter move choices this time around, so I think with a few more levels, we can outmuscle his team. Let's see. My third attempt, I played very smart. I leveled everyone up 3 or so levels, and led with Uber since he's the most expendable fighter in this match, as she takes out Shelgon and deals good damage to Flygon before Drake switched in Altaria. When Ubers went down, I sent in Capone, who finishes off Altaria and the weakened Flygon. Capone then takes care of the second Flygon, and when Salamence came in, I hard swapped to Poison as Salamence flies up high. I sack off Poison, but my Poison Point activates, which is what I wanted. I sent in Malekith to knock off Salamance's Citrus Berry, and because Salamence just kept going for Fly, we racked up some nice residual damage, which, when combined with knocks-offs, was enough to finally end Salamence. Holy cannoli, what a fight. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, Steven Stone, and with no clear answer to his lead Skarmory, I send in Stallone and try to get some defense drops. Skarmory managed to poison us with Toxic, which activated our Guts ability and aided in dismantling him. Once Skarmory was down, Armaldo came in, and I swapped out Stallone for Capone, as he isn't much use for us in this fight. He did great damage, but was ultimately taken out by Ancient Power. I didn't have much of an answer for this thing, so I sent in Shogun, and she manages to take down Armaldo. She also managed to take out Claydol even after it set up a Reflect, and then she proceeded to take out Cradilly even after Cradilly confused us. I honestly was not expecting Shogun to do all of that, but I'm super glad that she did. Shogun then tried to take out Aggron with Rock Smash, but we couldn't as she goes down. I said to myself, it's time for Ubers to make her keep, but her Mud Slaps are a range KO, and even with the Soft Sand boost, we can't take out Aggron easily. Last out is Metagross, and because of Clear Body, we can't cheese it with stat drops like we've been doing with the rest of this team. Ubers gets Metagross down to about half health before she goes down and Malekith comes in. Metagross' Citrus Berry activates, and because of that, our crit knockoff doesn't KO and Malekith goes down. Last is Stallone, who might have won this fight for us, but we get outsped and taken out with Earthquake. Damn, so close. I'll try this fight 1 or 2 more times at this level and see what happens. My second attempt, I failed miserably, but on my third attempt, this happened. Again, we lead with Stallone against Starmie, and we once again get our Guts boost with Skarmory, which helped to take it out. Next out was our Maldo, and managed to get a nice Rock Smash in this time, and a defense drop before going down. I sent in Capone, and our Peck managed to take out our Maldo with 3/4 health. Next out was Claydol, so I started spamming Astonish, and I actually got 2 flinches in a row as Steven popped a full restore. 3 more Astonishes were enough to take down Claydol, and he didn't even get a chance to set up screens this time. Cradilly comes in next, and we get it just above red health with 2 Pecks before going down. I send in Shogun, and a crit Leech Life takes out Cradilly. I don't know if it mattered, but I'll take it. Next out is Aggron, and knowing Poison is pretty useless at this point, I hard swap her in. Our Absorbs are actually enough to take out Aggron, and finally is Steven's ace, Metagross. I get off a weak Absorb as Poison goes down. I send in Malekith to knock off Metagross' Citrus Berry this time, and then crit Metagross with the second knockoff as Malekith goes down. Ubers is out next, and our Mud Slap just barely doesn't KO Metagross as Steven heals it and gets an attack boost from Meteor Mash. Uh-oh. We get 2 more Mud Slaps in and Metagross to half health before Ubers go down. It's all up to Shogun as Metagross hits a decent Psychic on us, and our Leech Life looks like a 3-hit KO. Metagross then pops the Hyper Beam of all things, and we survive on just 36 HP and get Metagross down to red. Thanks to Metagross having to recharge, Steven can't heal it, and we take down Metagross and finish the fight. There's no way that just happened. With this victory, we registered these absolute chads into the Hoenn Hall of Fame, and it only took me just shy of 42 hours, which shows how long this video took to make. This challenge was a ton of fun to make, and I really like the way the layout came out for it. This video also shows that no matter how powerful a Pokemon's offensive stats are, if its moves are lackluster, then it's not going to perform that well. I needed a ton of coverage and options, which this challenge didn't really provide me with, but we still managed to preserve. As of right now, this might be my favorite video idea, and I hope it gets the love and recognition it deserves. I might even do the weakest Pokemon using the strongest moves next time to see how they compare, but that probably won't be for a while because this video took a ton of research, editing, and coding to make, so I'm going to need another solo run before then. That's why, for my next impossible challenge, I'm thinking of doing Pokemon Fire Red with only a Roly-Coly, so if you don't want to miss that run, be sure to subscribe and stay tuned. Also, be sure to leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, and in the comments section, I want to know what your favorite part of today's run was. This has been your boy, Rare Boy, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace!
Red, white, and blue, yeah, I love this place.
Excuse me, did you just watch this video? You must have if you made it this far into the video. And yet you haven't liked, commented, shared, or subscribed. The Rare Boy working very hard on these videos. Please do the man a favor.